Hi, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing Tomb Raider, the Definitive Edition on the PlayStation 4. Some people might call it the Fraud Edition, but I strongly disagree. Unfortunately, the way I had to record this was to record on the PlayStation 4, which actually looks quite decent, and then put it on Facebook, and then rip it off of my Facebook page, and Facebook kind of compresses the quality a bit. I have headphones on actually listening to this, and it's distracting me immensely. I unfortunately have to record a commentary after the gameplay, which I find boring because I actually have to think of shit to say. But one of the cool things, even though it's kind of gimmicky, when she holds the torch like she is right now, the controller actually flickers like orange and yellow, kind of creating like a torch-like effect, which kind of looks cool in the dark. It's gimmicky, I know, but this is definitely not the Fraud Edition. First of all, this is a great game. I know that you can get it for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC rather cheaply, but the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions were not as good looking as the PC version. If you notice, she actually has individual strands of hair in this. She also did in the PC version, but you'd have to have a crazy expensive PC rig to even run it at a decent rate. The PS4 version, which we're watching now, which you won't be able to tell because the YouTube, and I don't even think the video records at 60 frames per second. This runs between 60 and 50 frames per second. The Xbox 360 version runs at 30 frames per second. So if you have the Xbox One, but the Xbox 360 and PS3 version also ran at 30 frames at best. Yeah, so if you have a choice between the Xbox One, if you're like an aristocrat and actually have a monocle and all that fancy stuff, and you slightly resemble a Monopoly guy, if you have both new consoles, I would definitely pick the PlayStation 4 version over this. Now back to what I was saying, like, unless you had like a crazy rig, you couldn't really see this game at its best. And not only does this have like what I would consider PC quality, although there's PC elitists that'll be like, oh, I can run it at 250 frames per second and get sharper textures than what there is. Well, there's some differences. Like, first of all, they redid a lot of the textures, so some of the textures look completely different than the other games, and it's more of a graphical upgrade. But yeah, they redid the model of Lara Croft. They have this effect, I don't know what the hell you would call it, that the skin actually is kind of transparent and absorbs light. You kind of learn about that in art class a little bit, but you don't realize it, but your skin actually absorbs light, and like in the other versions, the light kind of reflected off of the skin. You can see, like, when she gets close to a light source, the skin kind of has like this glow effect because it's more realistic, where it would absorb the light and whatnot. I don't know how many times I'm going to say absorb the light. I die in this a lot, as you can see. So, and I love the PlayStation 4 controller a lot more, and it actually uses everything from voice control if that's your thing. But it's kind of cool to say pistol or shotgun or whatever, and she pulls it out, and the controller speaker actually talks out like the little audio recordings and journals that she finds. So that's kind of cool. But the frame rate actually makes a difference in the way this game feels, and no matter what system you get it on is excellent. Now to the whole fraud thing. This has all the DLC, maybe not all of it, but a majority of it, and it might be missing a thing or two. But if you played this on multiplayer, which most people don't, here's a good look at what the model looks like up close. She looks real almost, I have to say. It looks like a Final Fantasy cutscene, like it's that good. And we're seeing it at 60 frames, 50 frames per second is incredible. That's why I definitely would prefer the PlayStation 4 version over the Xbox One if you have a choice. But It's not Fraud Edition. First of all, did I already say first of all? I can't remember. Like, I'm rambling. I get nervous when I record these things. If I'm playing the game, I don't have to think about what I'm gonna say. But yeah, as I was saying, first of all, for some reason, still not a lot of people have played this game, and you can get the cheaper version, but it's the same as, do I get the cheaper DVD that's been out for a while, or do I get the newly remastered Blu-ray version that has a few extra features? I mean, it's up to you. Me, I like to have the higher definition Blu-rays if I have a choice between movies, and I'll pay a little bit extra for it. It's the same deal. And talking to a lot of my friends, they've never played this because Tomb Raider hasn't had the best reputation. It started out as a really cool game, and then it resulted in an alternative to a skin magazine and a source of wet dreams for all adolescent boys. You notice, like, on the original PlayStation, first Tomb Raider was about raiding tombs, and then after the first Tomb Raider, it was all about tight outfits, and her boobs got bigger and all this other crap. Here, she's like a girl. She's not perfect. She makes mistakes. She gets the crap beat out of, sometimes brutally, where it's hard to watch sometimes, and I like that. It kind of reminds me of Die Hard, the first one anyway. I don't know what the hell they did with the last two. It's like John McClane's like a superhero or something. Like Die Hard, where like his clothes get ripped up and he gets bloody. By the end of the movie, he looks like a complete wreck. Or Indiana Jones, where he gets punched in the face, he gets shot like he did in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Or Temple of Doom, where he barely climbs up the ladder, like his shirt sleeves ripped up and you just see this hand come up. You know, you feel like you've been through an adventure. Like the other Tomb Raiders, she's always perfect, she's graceful, she swan dives. It's just, I don't know, it never appealed to me. And the puzzles weren't very logical most of the time, and you'd have to find 500 pieces. If you can solve the puzzles in, say, Uncharted, which this borrows heavily from, and the controls, but in some ways I think the atmosphere and stuff even tops Uncharted. Like, the island is a character itself. But the game slowly got boring. I think when Crystal Dynamics got a hold of the Tomb Raider series, they redeemed it somewhat, but the shooting and action sequences were kind of clunky at best. But they were fun, and they definitely made it enjoyable for me versus Tomb Raider past part 1. If you ever watch Kimball Justice's channel, he actually did a great 3-part video series of the history of Tomb Raider all the way up to this one. And this is just such an excellent game. If you haven't played it, I mean, even if you don't play the definitive edition, definitely play it on the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 or whatever you have. I heard that you have to have a pretty decent rig to play the PC version, but in some ways this is actually better than the PC version. So if you have a current gen console and you want to pay full price, which I'm sure it'll come down in price or whatever, but you know, you shouldn't miss out. This is one of the best games on the systems right now. I know it's an old game, and I know it's on other systems for cheaper, but it's still one of the best experiences you can have on the system, and it shouldn't be missed. It should be right up there being played, like with The Last of Us. The Last of Us, I know I'm gonna get people saying, what you talking about, Michael? But I think this is right up there. If there was a list of a top 10 games, like, this would be up there with The Last of Us or BioShock Infinite. So, yeah, whatever form you want to play it, definitely play it. This game is so good. Like, I hate Tomb Raider for the most part. Like, I take that back. I do like the Crystal Dynamic game somewhat, and I did like the first one on PlayStation, but in between the 5 million sequels that came between then. It's more like probably 4 sequels, but actually maybe 5, I don't know. In between those, like, I didn't like the series at all, and it's just great. It's fun, it's accessible, anybody can play it and make it to the end as long as you try. There's nothing overly frustrating. It's brutal. It's definitely made for older people. And by the end of the game, you feel like you've been through hell and back, and you feel like you've been on a legitimate adventure, and you feel like you got your money's worth. And this is not a fraud edition. This is for people who maybe didn't experience the first time, or want to experience it, like if they owned a decent PC. And like I said, this has some features that the PC doesn't have. So here I am climbing up a ladder. If you hear a echoey voice, that's because the controller is making sound at the same time while our walkie-talkie like goes off. Sorry, I'm at a loss of words. It's so much easier to play and record a commentary than watch a video and record it, I swear. I still have another PlayStation 4 video I have to do that I'm dreading. I might go back to PlayStation 3. I'm going to try to record a couple of these, like maybe today or so, just so I have a few videos I can put up every single day, hopefully, because I know last week or so I've been kind of shitty about putting up videos in a decent amount of time. But anyway, I just want to let you guys know this isn't the fraud edition. If you want to compare, the PlayStation 3 video is going to obviously look better. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This game looks better, of course, but I mean the video quality. But thank you guys for watching, and take care. Alright, bye.